Hello and welcome back to the Daily Basketball Recap Podcast. I am Max Kirschblum, joined here by my co-host, Levi Jacob, and our esteemed guest, pre-free agency, salary cap analyst and expert over at capsheets.com, his own website, doing amazing work over there. Yossi Gozlan, thanks for coming on.
Of course, thanks for having me on, guys.
We're excited. We're excited to talk hoops. We're excited to get into. We were talking about on today's podcast that NBA offseason is like no other offseason. It's just like NBA Finals, draft, free agency, summer league. It's just like one after another, and it really doesn't give you time to breathe, which is a good thing. So
yeah, and I mean, yes and no. I wish it was more spaced out, and thankfully it is now with how teams can negotiate with their own players. But I always thought, what if free agency was announced like a draft? Like free agency happens behind closed doors, and then like once an hour, Shams is like, "This player signed with this team." Then I don't. It's never going to be like that, but it would help. I think that'd be great for the NBA and everyone involved if we had it more spaced out. But this is what it is.
Yeah. I feel like truth is though, this year we've kind of been moving closer to that model. Like it used to be like, okay, no one can discuss anything until free agency starts, and then this year they were like, and it's the finals, but this player intends on signing a 3-year deal. You're like, okay.
Or the trades or anything that's been going on. It's been classic NBA, constant just stuff going on in news and so on and so forth. And as we like to do here, we like to get right into it and really get into the nitty-gritty. As someone who's following the salary cap all the time and is an expert on this stuff, for a casual fan, what's something with the new CBA, with whatever's going on with the teams going into the offseason, what's something that casual fans may not know about that is extremely important coming into this free agency?
With the biggest thing the CBA has done is implemented spending tiers, and basically each team has their own set of restrictions. Now, when I report stuff, I try to put graphics that include what those restrictions are, because the CBA has gotten so complicated. It feels like every step of the way fans need to know what their team can and can't do at any given moment. So it's definitely made life a lot more complicated for casual fans. And then I just got to do some extra steps to help people be on the same page.
You had a post a couple of days ago. I don't remember exactly which team it was, but you mentioned that there was like some teams that had stretched out contracts payouts. That was like, man, I wish I could find exactly which one it was.
With the Suns?
Yeah, there was some players on that list that haven't played for them for 5 years?
Yeah, that happens all the time. Sometimes these stretch amounts, they'll go out for like 5 to 7 years. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like the Luol Deng one from the Lakers, right? A couple of years ago, that everyone was like, they're still paying Luol Deng? Like, what's going on?
That's one. That's a good one. There's like even smaller ones. Like I think the Blazers had like Festus Ezeli or Andrew something. I forgot what's his last name. They had this guy Andrew, this big man. Yeah, it happens. There's these guys that stay on the team's books forever.
Next thing you know, you're going to tell me that Anderson Varejao was still under contract for the Cavs or something. But, as we're getting into this, the key like buzzword that everyone hears these days, especially when talking about the Celtics moves and different things like that, is the second apron. What exactly is the second apron? What is this fearful, like crazy thing that all teams have to focus on right now, and how is it affecting the NBA?
The thing is, the second apron just became this like boogeyman word where everyone hears it and they think that this is a thing that all NBA teams fear of, where it's not really that. Because when you're in the second apron, the biggest penalty is that it impacts your draft pick in future years. Like you can't, if you're in the second apron this upcoming season, you can't trade your 2033 first round pick. But when you are in the second apron, then you're pretty deep in the tax. And that's the bigger issue because they changed the tax system. There's a lot, it's more expensive to be in the deeper you are now. Starting this season, they changed it. So that's the bigger thing teams are afraid of, spending so much money that they just have a very inefficient payroll.
I heard that in regards to the Celtics specifically, because you mentioned them earlier, that with these two trades, they've moved themselves somewhere out of the realm of having to pay $200 million or something like that this year because of taxes. Is that true? Because of the apron. Is that true?
Yeah, they just because it's not the aprons, the tax, because they were there. There's like these tiers. There's like different levels. You pay more depending how deep you are. So because they like they went a couple levels down, the multiplier decreases. So they save like $200 million.
Insane.
Unbelievable.
It's insane.
It's crazy how much money is just flying out there. You're watching all the different moves that are coming out. We spoke on today's podcast of all the different moves that Davion Mitchell extending, Sam Merrill extending, and all these Naz Reid extending 5 years, $125 million. With everything that you're seeing, which front office are you looking at right now and saying, "Oh, they're doing some interesting stuff. I wonder what's going down here."
Well, Atlanta, I think they're about to they're about to deepen their team. They brought in Porzingis. They just got what could be a top 4 pick in next year's draft. I think what they're doing is pretty interesting. I'm very curious what Memphis is gonna have up their sleeve, because it seems like they can either they can use their cap space to renegotiate Jaren Jackson, or maybe they'll end up blowing it up. Feels like it could go either way.
Can I ask
What
on
other
that
teams?
point, why do they have to spend the money, I would say?
On Jaren Jackson?
Yeah, like meaning like, why do they have to renegotiate the contract? I mean, they want to extend him obviously, but
Yeah,
does it have to be, is it money that has to be used at the current moment in time?
because if otherwise they won't be able to extend him. Is the extension number is too low within the rules. So then otherwise the only way they can pay him is to let him hit free agency first, and that's a risk the Grizzlies probably don't want to make.
I was reading just before that LeBron is picking up his player option for, I think it was $52.6 million. But when you read the article and when you read everything that Shams is putting out there, it doesn't sound like LeBron's like all in. It's
Right.
like you hear all these things going back and forth. I want to throw out a hypothetical out there. Right before this, I opened up the ESPN trade machine, and anything I tried to do did not work. Is there a way to move LeBron? And in theory, what could something like that look like, and with who?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet. I think he's gonna just see how the Lakers play out the offseason. I feel like they're not gonna get anyone good or get it meaningfully better. In which case, okay, then he can ask for a trade. I have not really looked into who that might be. It's gonna be tough. He makes a lot of money to make the salaries work. Uh, let's just see how things play out first. It literally just broke like, I don't know, 30 minutes ago. I don't know.
You know, it goes back into the you wishing that they could cover things with enough time in between, because it's all the implications are
Yeah,
just everywhere. 100%.
yeah.
We saw with the Celtics. Are there any other teams that you can foresee that, whether because of the boogeyman of the second apron or what, that based on salaries and the way their team is constructed, that they're going to have to rebuild, and that we may see that within the next year? People were talking about this with the Celtics starting from mid-season when they're like, okay, Porzingis, Drew Holiday, all these guys, Derek White, something's going to have to happen. Are you seeing anything from other teams where something's got to happen at some point?
I mean, the Bucks, I just think even if Giannis comes back, they're already not going anywhere. I think they have to start thinking really hard about uh, just resetting everything. I think the Suns, they're really trying to stay relevant, but I don't really see them being better than a 31 team. In which case, same thing. I think they really got to start considering trading Booker and restarting everything from scratch. Other than that, I mean, I brought up Memphis earlier, but I don't think they're gonna do like a full rebuild unless like Ja and Jaren don't want to be there. There's a couple teams in mind for like who might need to potentially reset.
Do you think that in regards to the Suns, right? There was a reported deal of Booker maybe going for 2 years, 150. If you were in that Suns front office, would you say like Don't do it.
Yeah, there's no rush to. I don't. There's no rush in my eyes to give him that already. Like he's got 3 years left on his deal. Last time a player got that type of extension with 3 years left on his deal was Damian Lillard. Now it's about to start, and he has a torn Achilles.
Awesome. Any other bold free agent takes of not just what people are going to sign for, but where you think guys are going to be going?
Bold free agency takes. I mean, I don't. I think Giannis getting traded seems pretty bold now. Like everyone is convinced he's going to stay. I think he's going to get traded. They're trying to think. And then I guess Celtics. I predict they'll trade one of Brown or Derek White. I just think if another, I think another team's going to make an offer for one of those guys so strong that it's going to,
Force their hand.
yeah, that they won't be able to say no.
I have one more question. In regards to the Thunder, there's a lot of discussion about how they kind of maneuver going forward in the future. Right? They have the top 3 guys, they want to extend them. Maybe Shea takes a little bit less. What is a way that you think that they could maneuver for the future while maintaining their ability to have, their options open moving forward?
They're already doing it. The fact that one, it just stay out of the tax as long as possible. They won a championship without being in it. They're going to avoid it again. Number 2 is that they are structuring all the contracts for all the role players very favorably, where they're low enough where they can keep these guys, but also very tradable in the long term. And then the other one is that they have an appetite to spend. The ownership has spent a lot in the past, and when those Westbrook, Paul George years. So once it is time to pay, they're going to pay a lot of money. So I think they'll have like another 4 years at least.
Who do you think is the most likely out of who's rostered right now to be traded first if they have to, maneuver around some?
Oh, on OKC, they'll probably start at the bottom, like Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. Then there's like Alex Caruso because he'll be a little older because then they got to pay Cason Wallace. They'll start at the bottom and go up.
They wouldn't go for the big ticket Isaiah Hartenstein, $27 million a year.
Well, he and Dort have team options for 26, 27, so they can like restructure their contracts. They can try to get them to sign something lower, but if that doesn't work out, then they could trade them.
I have one more question. I've always wanted to ask this to somebody who's a salary cap expert. Just how big of a deal was the Jalen Brunson contract? Like what he did, how big of a deal was that to the Knicks?
A huge, because it probably bought them another year, maybe 2 of their window. If he took the full max this year, they'd be over the second apron. They'd be paying a lot more money. It'd be a lot harder to keep the team as deep as it is. So, no, it's massive. It's huge. Just for every season going forward, it was a big deal.
Have you has there been any other player that you've seen has done something even remotely like that?
Kevin Durant kind of did that with the Warriors in his second year. And I remember people got very upset about that. But it's not as significant as this, because back then the rules weren't as harsh for teams that go way up.
So I guess in the back of that, what about James Harden a few years ago when he remember he restructured his contract to take less? Was that like real or was that like?
Well, no, he did, and it let them sign, but but they used the flexibility for PJ Tucker and Daniel House, so like they didn't really help them that much.
Isn't that what every team dreams of? Like getting PJ Tucker and Daniel House? It's exciting.
Awesome. Daryl Morey teams, yeah.
Yeah.
If there's something that you would want to happen, what's your biggest transaction, whatever it is, your trade signing, what would be your golden example?
I think Giannis to the Spurs would be pretty cool. And then I suppose something with LeBron related, just because I think at this point the Lakers are like they don't really have any draft picks to trade. It's going to be very hard for them to make a strong offer for and to get any center help. Like a LeBron trade might actually be the best thing for the Lakers, because then they could turn his 50-something million into multiple players that can better fit around Luka, get their big man, just really start building towards the future. Because I think we also saw with that Wolves series, maybe the Lakers are further away than we think. So I'll have to start thinking about what that trade might be. But at this point, I think that would make a lot of sense for the Lakers.
Do you think they're kicking themselves that they didn't go forward with the Mark Williams trade?
No.
You're probably
right. You'll message me afterwards if you can. The one that I was trying to figure out, and I have no idea how this stuff works, is I was just thinking of Anthony Edwards LeBron combo, and if there was any way to get LeBron out in Minnesota, what that trade could look like. If there was one of their big men that they could trade back to LA, if they could send over Jaden McDaniels or whatever it is and make contracts work in that sense. I don't know if that's possible at all. But I just thought the idea would be so fun of seeing he wanted Kevin Durant, but say he gets LeBron, and that's probably his best bet to win at this point.
That's interesting. So, I mean, they're probably, if Minnesota was going after LeBron, they're probably offering the same type of thing that they were trying to offer for KD. Maybe they try to do something like Randall, and like either Gobert, maybe they could sign and trade Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think, yeah, there could be something there. I just don't know if Minnesota is exactly where LeBron would want to be. That would be, it seemed, because the only team he's ever been linked to since joining the Lakers is the Warriors. So that would be number one, which would probably mean Jimmy Butler would be heading out. Not necessarily to the Lakers, but maybe there's like a bigger trade that could happen to make everything work.
That would be hilarious from a Jimmy Butler perspective. But
okay, yeah. Hold on. I have actually one more question just off of that note. The Kuminga, now they made him restricted. What would be like top billing that they'd be able to get back for him at the contract that he's probably gonna bring in terms of a trade?
I went over it in one of my videos. I think they're just looking at trying to get multiple guys making between like $10 to $15 million under contract. That'd be probably, I think, what they're looking at realistically. But with this LeBron thing, maybe also Heeg's involved in that.
Very interesting.
We'll see. I saw Kuminga wanted $30 million, so we'll see what happens with that. But anyways, Yossi, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. Can you please let the listeners know where they can find you and find all your relevant info, especially during this time?
Yeah, so make sure you follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. My name is Yossi Gozlan. Instant salary cap analysis as the transactions happen, and subscribe to Third Apron, the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, and the newsletter on Substack for even deeper analysis, and capsheets.com, where I'll be updating it very frequently with all the transactions for up to the date, salary cap updates.
Amazing. We're looking forward. This is going to be a crazy busy time. So we appreciate you taking time out and coming on with us. And there was one last thing I was going to, for anyone that is interested, I've been watching the mock off seasons, and those have been awesome. So I highly recommend check out Yossi's YouTube channel, the mock off seasons. It was great. So make sure to check him out. Check out all the content. If you want to hear more stuff from us, like, subscribe, check out our daily podcast, and we'll see you soon.